Coming up on today's wrestling news, Triple H fires shots at AEW in the new Cody Rhodes documentary.
Major updates on the WWE SummerSlam card.
An AEW star teases an all-in match.
Kevin Owens no longer knows how much time he has left in the ring.
I'm Adam Wilborn.
I'm Michael Sidgwick.
And this is the news. Let's dive into it though and start talking about the thing that everyone's been talking about over social media overnight, and that's Triple H's comments on AEW on the new Cody Rhodes American Nightmare documentary. It premiered on Peacock. Loads of clips have been doing the rounds online, but we're going to focus on the one where Cody's talking about AEW and he sort of says, I don't want any of this edited, I want this just verbatim, just let this go out as is. He says, I didn't leave AEW because of money and other talents. I left AEW because of a personal issue. The byproduct of me leaving AEW is to go after the biggest and first dream that I had in my life. And then the documentary cuts to Triple H, who says it's taking that gamble again and saying, I didn't grow up dreaming of becoming the champion or the face of a secondary promotion. I wanted to be the WWE champion. Understandably, everyone has kicked off online about this. What do you make of it, Sidge?
Oh, honestly, not much for me. Look, speaking from someone who generally prefers AEW to WWE, it just appeals more to my tastes. This is just a nothing thing for me. It's funny. Just enjoy the fact that there are two wrestling promotions that exist, and sometimes they take the piss out of each other, or they bury each other, or they do it in a really snide way. I just laughed. I thought it was genuinely funny because he's clever, he's a savvy operator, Triple H. It's the best possible way of doing what I think it's unreasonably controversial when AEW fire shots at WWE. And, people say, it makes them look second-rate, it makes them look second-rate. One, I think it's quite cathartic if they do something dumb that insults my intelligence, and then they lampoon it. And this, I thought, was also, well, it wasn't cathartic, I just thought it was funny. A really clever way of doing it as well, because he went the Bobby Fish route.
Yes.
He went the Bobby Fish route, and he just said, it's a secondary company, so why wouldn't you want to be number one over here? There is an element of, where is the lie here? Because AEW is the secondary company, by Tony Khan's own admission, they are the Pepsi, they are the challenger brand. Tony Khan, right, I know he says or has said when they were nearly winning or, coming close to everything, that he wanted to win. I don't necessarily think he does. I use this example quite a lot, right? If Tony Khan had any serious intentions of winning a wrestling war with WWE, one, he's kind of out of luck at the minute because WWE is a white-hot success. Two, he would not have booked as an indirect means of building MJF versus Bryan Danielson versus Timothy Thatcher on television. He wouldn't. He does a lot of his booking genuinely for the love of the game. So it is a secondary company, and Triple H did it in such a objective, cold way that I thought, I admire the sly, cunning way he delivered that line. Like, it is.
Yeah.
He's got
I'm just stating facts here, guys.
I'm just stating facts here, guys. I enjoy it. I like the drama.
Just asking questions. But do you think
I'm just stating facts here. Tell me when I'm telling lies. Where's the lie?
Do you think AEW is the secondary promotion? Let us know in the comment section below. But hey, be nice. I don't want to be like the rest of the internet arguing about this bollocks.
Yeah, it's just a complete waste of time. I used to be quite involved in it, I guess.
You wrote a book about AEW.
I did.
It's becoming all elite. Is it still available?
You can buy it on Amazon. It depends what kind of words you like, though.
I like passionate, but I also like insightful words.
You're in luck.
Eh?
120,000 of them in there. I used to get a little bit wound up, It's like, AEW's better. I just prefer it.
Yeah.
Can we not move on? It's so exhausting.
You can like both wrestling promotions. Only two, though. You can only ever like two.
Yes.
Sorry, MLW and Impact Wrestling, but that's it.
But
anyway.
To be fair, only like one. You've seen the G1 Climax this year.
I've seen people talking about it on social media. I mean, a nice Eddie's been doing stuff.
Here's the thing. A very quick tangent, okay? It was a great idea. I would describe this as the ultimate noble failure. If you look at the state of like Naito and Tanahashi in particular, you kind of need to build new stars. And I think this year's G1, it's kind of like a proving ground where they've just completely flooded that field and said, all of you get a chance to step up.
Yeah.
The problem is that not all of them are.
yeah, the whole thing peaked with Gabriel Kidd jumping at people at the press conference for me.
Absolutely. So the G1 isn't attracting much buzz, but SummerSlam is. I'm getting used to this on-camera malarkey. Not really, it's terrifying. Be nice to me in the comment section below. But yeah, there's been two sort of updates, or rather non-updates, on the SummerSlam card, which is doing incredibly good business. They expect it to be an absolutely incredible gate. The most watched PLE, or at least SummerSlam ever on Peacock. But two things that people expected did not actually unfold on last night's episode of Raw. There was no stipulation made for Cody versus Brock 3, unless there's an 11th hour change that looks to be a straight singles match, despite rumours circulating not too long ago that we were going to see a stipulation match that we've not seen for some time. Well, it's going to be a bit longer, whatever it was, because we ain't seeing it. It's a straight singles match, but ultimately for me, it's a bit of an editorial thing here. Brock Lesnar makes singles matches feel so dangerous when he's at his best that I don't think he needs any stipulations. Secondly, the expected. Did they announce it?
I was 100% anticipating. I'm fairly certain, maybe I've just misremembered it, that they said if you beat Zoe Stark, you'll face...
Yeah, I just assumed it was SummerSlam. If they've announced it, please do our jobs for us. I can't recall. But regardless, Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus, despite being built virtually since the end of WrestleMania. Yeah. So you'd expect it to have gone to SummerSlam. Not happening. They sort of tried to do it, or booked it. Adam Pearce, he's a bit incompetent in his job. Tried to book it. It got DQ'd straight away, or sort of, abandoned by the referee, whatever. And they're instead going to do it in a fortnight's time in Winnipeg. So, not on SummerSlam. Look, you be nice about this. I think it's been a bust. I don't think this feud has worked particularly well at all. And maybe, this is pure speculation on my part, WWE has echoed that opinion.
I'm inclined to agree with you. I think on paper, Trish Stratus versus Becky Lynch is one of the biggest matches at SummerSlam, but it certainly hasn't felt like it on the build there. Don't get me wrong, they've done some great stuff with Zoe Stark on the way there. But yeah, I anticipated that it was just going to be rubber stamping the SummerSlam match on last night's Raw. But like you say, they tried to do an impromptu, no, we'll do it right now then. And then Postman Pearce said, no, actually, we're going to do it in 2 weeks.
How did he go from that to that? Oh, I need this done right now.
Not next week, not next week either. Not SummerSlam, 2 weeks. I mean, I understand
what happened to the urgency there?
Yeah, I don't know. The Cody Brock thing with no stipulation is weird, but there's an argument to be made that neither of them have properly won a match. A roll-up doesn't count in WWE's world.
Even though it does.
Yeah. And Cody Rhodes never submitted, of course, to the more he just sort of passed out at Night of Champions, I want to say. Also, there's an MMA rules match now on the card. We were speculating as to what it was going to be between Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, and that's what it's going to be. How do you feel about that? MMA rules. I don't know. We've had the Fight Pit. That was kind of enjoyable the first time. And then, I don't know whether it was sort of diminished returns. You've had literally a cage match in AEW. You've had the Brawl for All.
I wanted the Lion's Den, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I wanted WWE to use its absolutely vast, virtually unlimited resources to build a little cage and to have Ronda and Shayna fight inside of it. I think that would be a more spectacle way of doing it. Which I think WWE fans would be more inclined to get into, like a big prop, a big scene, a big set. After all, it is cinema, so why not build a set to reflect that? But being less facetious, I do think that a really MMA rules match, it might die, particularly in a stadium. I've seen a lot of technical wrestling matches not really translate to sort of the broad, huge confines of a stadium. And if you're going into the minutiae of real hold-for-hold drama and sort of intricacy, I'm not being funny, WWE fans don't also love the UWFI.
No.
These are two completely different audiences, and the WWE fandom really hasn't been conditioned to really go for submission-based action at its purest, at its most intricate, virtually forever. So I'm not sure how this will work. So I'm going to be cynical about it.
They had it was sort of MMA themed. It wasn't MMA rules, but when Cain Velasquez fought Brock Lesnar, that for the 2 minutes, that was sort of MMA based, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was way too realistic.
But I don't know. I will say this: I thought the video package set.
Oh my god, it was awesome.
Where's that been? Bring that in about 4 weeks ago.
Honestly, if it turns out the rule is keep Ronda Rousey away from the trappings and the tropes of WWE television and she can get presented as a star.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, moving from SummerSlam to All In now, which we still don't know what's going to happen on, but there has been a match teased by one Andrade El Idolo. He's obviously been feuding a lot with the House of Black. He just won his mask back from Buddy Matthews on Collision over the weekend. And now he has tweeted that he wants to face Malachi Black at All In, tweeting, "I want the next one. I would like to see your face. I would like to see you face to face at All In London because you're a European and it is with your people. Mexico versus Netherlands. Big blow off match. All In. I want to see that."
I kind of do want to see it, but like, I'm not being funny, loads and loads of AEW wrestlers, and why wouldn't you do this, have sort of like pitched or tried to like will a Wembley match into existence. There's obviously not going to be enough time, even on a Tony Khan production, for that to happen. So maybe he's just shooting his shot.
Yeah.
And he's trying to say, well, the fans want it, so you kind of have to do it. Maybe it's an old wrestler's trick of trying to force the promoter's hand. I'm not sure. I don't want to get into the whole, if he doesn't want to be there, he shouldn't get a match, because if he doesn't want to be there and he's absolutely undeniably awesome, I don't care if you've got one eye on WWE, if you're that good, you should get a match on AEW television. It shouldn't be about how much you like the company, in my opinion. That being said, is Andrade, has he done so much that he warrants like a really sort of elusive singles match at Wembley when it's at a complete premium? I'm not convinced. Maybe if you're going to do it, that feels like All Out for me. Then again, I am biased because I'm only going to one of those shows.
Yes, I should say, we are going to All In. If you want to keep up with everything we do around that time, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to be updated all the time on our movements during that weekend. My movements will mainly be this, because my son's coming in about 2 weeks, so unfortunately I won't be able to go.
One person who did actually make the move to stay with WWE was Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
But he was speaking to the Toronto Sun, basically saying that a few years ago, or even a few months ago, he had every intention of carrying on for another 5 to 10 years in pro wrestling. But over the last few weeks or months, he's kind of changed his mind and he isn't so sure how long he's going to stick at it upon the expiration of his contract. He's already, for me, carved out a legendary career.
Yeah.
If the Hall of Fame meant anything, he would be a worthy inclusion to it. He's gamed the system. He had an absolutely incredible pro wrestling career on the Fringe before. Well, not the Fringe, the Underground, whatever, the Indies. Even though it was owned by Sinclair. I don't know what the correct word. Before he entered WWE, he was kind of like a sort of folk hero legend. And then he's gone to WWE. He's had a few piss poor years, but everyone virtually did. Under Vince McMahon, had very little or nothing to do with his performance level. And I think literally everyone was wrong, apart from the WWE fans, of course, when they said that Kevin Owens has made an absolute drastic mistake. Because it was like late 2021, I believe.
Yeah.
When it was like all the momentum was with AEW and he just decided, no, I'm going to go with WWE. I don't think he could have forecast quite how well it went for him, but Jesus Christ, it's went great. One thing about Kevin Owens, and I love him for this, is that this guy will take apron bumps, the sickest ladder bumps you've ever seen. He will make his back eat the edges of the steps. Like, he does so many gnarly things. Sometimes on TV, for like to the fact that no one really remembers them. It's not my body, I don't give a toss. But maybe that has shortened his clock.
I mean, I'm sure he could go over and do some great things in AEW once his WWE contract expires and have fun with his mates over there, no doubt. But I don't think he's got anything else to achieve necessarily or to prove. Like you say, he's done some mad spots over the years. I still remember him taking that insane WrestleMania bump off the sign with no one in attendance.
I know. He does it all for the love of the game, and I love him for it.
Imagine if you went back in time in a time machine, and when he was eating...
That's the time machine noise.
When he was eating like pineapple on pizza, and it was like, what are they doing with this guy?
I think he was going to be the everyman
for
Daniel Bryan Planet's champion.
But you imagine if you'd have said, that guy's going to headline back-to-back WrestleManias. You would not have believed it, but fair play, an incredible achievement, and nothing left to prove. He's given his body, time and time again.
I think he's absolutely top 5 wrestlers who weren't the absolute guy in WWE.
Yeah. An arrival from NXT.
That's not an insult, for Christ's sake. It's the Rock, Austin, Hogan tier. Yeah. He's in top 5 for me who is that one below.
I still remember, because I wasn't watching NXT for my sins at the time, when he showed up, when John Cena did his open challenge, and I'd been a bit like, NXT, isn't that one with the game show?
Yeah.
And then this guy showed up and I was like, oh my God, first of all, he's kicking John Cena's ass, which at the time was just
so cathartic.
Great. And then he was just like, you John Cena, and then just beat the shit out of him. Great.
My God.
Sorry, Ben Roy, for the double swear there, but I loved his arrival. One of my favourite NXT call-ups ever, that. Well, eventually, although he eventually beat John Cena and then John Cena got 2 wins, but never mind. Let's move on to the Twitter questions. At WhatCulture, WWE, of course. First question today comes from Ms. Shinra. Thank you for your question, Ms. Shinra, who says, my husband and I think we've clocked what's going on with the skulls backstage on WWE TV. You spotted this.
Someone on Reddit spotted this.
Well, you spotted someone else on Reddit.
And I turned it into Bray Wyatt clickbait.
It's coming to SummerSlam. It's blatantly going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. Your thoughts?
Why not?
Yeah?
Why the hell not?
Teasing stuff with Grayson Waller?
If he wants to get back in the ring after...
Don't tempt me with this.
38. Take another suplex on the floor for all I care. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was really... It was like, well, this is nice as a big one-off thing. And then it was so good. It was like, okay, so he wins the Rumble, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't rule it out.
I would.
Even if it's just a stunner to Grayson Waller.
Yeah, it's been a while. They like that every now and then. It's always fun.
They could even do the whole... I mean, it might bury him a little bit. It's Grayson Waller. He's kind of Teflon to this right now. I like him saying, I've done stuff with John Cena, I've done stuff with Edge. There's no other legends left, or, what other legends need rehabilitation? And you do the classic thing that they did with Vince before, like a big Hell in a Cell or whatever it was, where everyone comes out and hits their finisher on him.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, here comes The Rock, here comes Stone Cold, here comes Rikishi with his big bum, things like that.
What's the last question?
It's only the second question. You're not through it yet. Second question today comes from Chainsaw Kev. Thanks, Chainsaw Kev. What it do, gentlemen? Kev writes. Another simple question. What happened to Indus Share? Did they just get brought up for the coming joke, or do you think there were actual plans for them?
Christ knows. I've got absolutely no idea.
I think I've got the solution, Once a certain storyline has had a nice bow put on in NXT, I'd have Indus Share back out there again, because they weren't like beaten off the face of the planet. They just sort of appeared for a bit, didn't really do a lot. Jinder Mahal's really boring, so they disappeared. So I'd have, maybe not necessarily on a big Raw, have Indus Share come out and say, we're Indus Share, look at the bloody size of us, no one can beat us up, open challenge. And I'd have the Creed brothers answer it, because their match in NXT was an absolute banger.
It was, but it was kind of fraught with, have you held on to him when you're going to do this powerbomb? There's two explanations here. If you're going to use Occam's razor, two things get yielded. One is that they are deemed not ready, and having watched Indus Share very briefly in NXT, which is part of the problem, they're not particularly ready.
Took some people's heads off.
Yeah, reckless at times, or not reckless, but just maybe a little bit undertrained. Pretty awesome, to be honest. Two, the other possibility is it's wrestling. This happens in AEW. This happens in New Japan. This happened in WCW. It happens in AEW. It happens everywhere. Things just get dropped and they don't have a firm plan.
Yeah.
We saw it with Finn Balor and JD McDonough. We saw it with Nikki Cross and Candice LeRae. We saw this, right? And I saw it, and maybe I'm making it up. I'm convinced, right, that when the Varsity Blondes, before Pillman left, Jr., took a loss on Rampage, Arn Anderson was seen watching the monitor, like going, as if to suggest, with the right tutelage, these guys could be someone, but at the minute I'm watching two losers. Never picked up again. So these things just happen in the soap opera system that is pro wrestling. Yeah, I believe I just read, though, that WWE might have booked a big show in India, so don't be surprised if Indus Share suddenly start popping back up on our screens soon. Final question. It was more of a reaction to our excellent output yesterday. Bloody hell, we work hard. Honestly, some people, we do proper jobs here, me and Sige. We did 4 podcasts yesterday. WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcast from. Reviewing SmackDown Collision, the great American Best, God bless, United States. And previewed Monday Night Raw. And Duke McGrath was listening. Thank you, Duke. Such a twat. Duke writes, forgive me, WhatCulture. I'm not an NXT guy, so I very rarely listen to the podcast. But when the AEW review finished, I thought I'd just roll onto NXT for a few minutes while I finish cooking. And
My God, am I missing out on the best promotion ever? Adam Wilborn was hyped. Sitch, how good is NXT nowadays?
Well, that's an extremely complicated question for a news video we'll like to keep to a tight 20 minutes. NXT is everything. It's either really good, like Dragunov's like a top 10 wrestler in all of the world, and they let him be Dragunov. It's either incredibly bad with some matches that genuinely border on the dangerous and should not get promoted.
Yeah, it's developmental to an extreme.
Or it's so bad it's good, where it's so bad that it becomes entertaining. Or it is what I would describe as endearingly naff, where like something like Chase University just gets me in my cold, darkened heart when it shouldn't. It shouldn't work, and yet it does. They position people in roles. They take their sweet time with stories. Like, honestly, with what WWE is trying to achieve, which is cinema, sports entertainment, like the NXT writing staff, I don't know why they haven't been switched over to Raw.
Yeah.
I know why. Raw's doing amazing numbers.
Yeah.
It doesn't need the NXT writing staff, but with the way that they tell stories, as stupid as some of them are, they are plotted in a really, really precise, meticulous way. If you've got the stomach for some silliness and some warmth in your heart, and you like to watch terrible matches and great matches sometimes on the same show, NXT is everything, man.
Yeah,
we love it. We absolutely love it and hate it.
It's the best show of the week for me. I adore it. If Raw and SmackDown is cinema, then NXT's cartoons. And guess which one I prefer out of those, basically. It's the Barbie to the main roster's Oppenheimer, for me. That's what NXT is.
Absolutely perfect.
And especially you'll enjoy it, like you say, if you enjoy convoluted storylines where someone gets sent to prison for openly committing murder on television.
Attempted.
Yes, attempted. Yeah, it didn't actually happen because they are now on SmackDown, of course, pretty dearly. Then deliberately schemes to pretend like the underboss is scheming to overtake the leader of the family, the mafia gang that is committing legitimate crimes, to trick the tag team champions into giving up a tag title match, which they subsequently lose, and Tony D and Stacks are your goddamn champions. Guess what? It's the show for you. Also, you like it if you enjoy people calling out other people for wearing sunglasses indoors.
It's a masterpiece.
Give it a chance tonight.
A lot of people are. It's a growth product.
You'll not be disappointed. Anyway, let us know your thoughts on everything we've discussed in the comments. Thanks for joining us, and check out this video, and we will see you soon.